The rain had just started falling over the quiet suburban street when Sergeant Ethan Cole stepped out of the cab, his duffel bag slung over his shoulder. The sound of his boots hitting the wet pavement was the only noise breaking the deep evening. Silence. His uniform, still smelling faintly of the sand and gunpowder of a world away, clung to him as he stood there for a long, quiet moment, just looking. He was looking at the familiar, small white house, the house that had been his only safe place, his only anchor, his entire life. It had been 9 long and very hard months since he had last seen it. 9 months since he had last hugged his little sister, Lily. He hadn't told anyone he was coming home. His return was supposed to be a surprise, a beautiful, joyful reunion that would be filled with laughter and happy tears. But as he walked up the familiar rain-slick steps, he could feel an unsettling stillness in the air, a profound and very heavy silence that he couldn't quite explain. Before we go deeper into this powerful, emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the profound, unbreakable power of standing up for those we love, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need a little bit of hope today, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Corner. Your support helps to bring more of these heartfelt and very real stories to life. Ethan turned the handle of the front door slowly, expecting the familiar happy chaos of his sister's life. He expected to hear her music playing a little too. Loudly, he expected to smell the scent of her half-finished art projects. He expected her to come rushing into his arms, the way she always had since they were just kids. Instead, the first thing he saw was her sitting at the small wooden kitchen table. Her shoulders were hunched, her face turned away from him, staring out at the rain. Something was wrong. Her entire posture was tense, and her hands, he noticed, were trembling slightly as they gripped a mug of untouched and likely now cold tea. When she finally slowly looked up at him, her eyes widening in a profound and very real shock. Ethan's breath caught in his chest. Her right cheek was swollen and a deep, ugly, and very angry purple, the faint yellowing outline of a bruise creeping towards her beautiful and now very sad brown eye. In that single, terrible, heart-stopping instant, the pure, unadulterated joy of his homecoming drained away, replaced by a cold, quiet, and very sinking rage he hadn't felt in years. He dropped his bag. The military had taught him to keep his emotions in check, to assess a situation calmly, logically, before taking any action. But this was different. This was not a battlefield 1,000 miles from home. This was his baby sister. And someone in his own quiet, peaceful hometown had hurt her. His heart pounded in his chest as he tried to process what he was seeing. Memories of their childhood, of their shared and often difficult life, flashed through his mind. Lily, with scraped knees after falling off her first bicycle. Lily, crying after her first teenage heartbreak. Lily, smiling, so proudly and so beautifully, as she had graduated from high school just last year. He had always been her protector, even when he was thousands of miles away. But now, now he had failed her. And the guilt, a guilt so profound and so immediate, wrapped itself around him like a coil of sharp and very unforgiving, barbed wire. The days that followed Ethan's return were a slow, agonizing dance of confusion and a quiet, almost suffocating observation. Lily, his bright, vibrant, and once so talkative sister, avoided his questions. She brushed off his gentle, probing inquiries about her injury with a series of weak and very unconvincing excuses. It was clumsiness, she said. On the wet stairs, she had walked into a door. She had fainted at work. The stories changed, but the fear in her eyes, a fear that was deep and very real, remained the same. Ethan knew better. The military, with its brutal and very effective training, had taught him how to read the subtle, almost invisible details of a situation. He saw the way her voice cracked just for a fraction of a second when she said that she was fine. He saw the nervous, almost frantic, glances she would throw toward the front door whenever the name of her new boyfriend, a man Ethan had never met, came up in conversation. And he saw the way she would flinch, a small, almost imperceptible, but very real, tightening of her entire body at any sudden, unexpected noise. There was a story behind those bruises, a dark and very ugly story, a story she was clearly too afraid to tell, but Ethan wasn't going to push her. He knew from his own hard and very painful experiences on the battlefield that trust could not be forced. It had to be earned. And so, he waited. He watched. And he remembered the solemn and very sacred promise he had made to their late parents on the day of their funeral, just before he had shipped out for his first tour, that he would always, always protect Lily, no matter what. And now, standing in the quiet, shadowed rooms of his own childhood home, he realized that he had to keep that promise, even if it meant confronting a new and very different kind of enemy, an enemy that he wasn't sure he was trained or even ready to face. 1. Afternoon, Ethan returned home earlier than he usually did after running some errands. As he approached the house, he heard voices from inside. A man's voice, low and angry. A muffled guttural sound that made the hairs on the back of his own neck stand up. And it was followed by Lily's voice, a soft, apologetic, and very pleading tone. Ethan froze outside the front door, every single one of his combat-honed instincts screaming at him to burst in. When he finally, and with a great controlled effort, stepped inside, what he saw made his blood run cold. Lily was standing by the kitchen counter, her head bowed, her small frame trembling, while a man Ethan had never seen before, loomed over her, his hand gripping her arm so tightly that his own knuckles were white. Ethan's training kicked in, not in a sudden explosive act of violence, but in a cold, quiet, and very deadly control. He stepped forward, his boots making no sound on the worn linoleum floor. His voice, when he spoke, was calm, quiet, and completely and utterly devoid of any emotion, and that made it all the more terrifying. When Ethan stepped inside, what he saw made his blood run cold. Lily stood by the kitchen counter, her head bowed while a man loomed over her, his hand gripping her arm tightly. Ethan's military training, a training that had been forged in the hot, unforgiving fires of real-world combat, kicked in. But it was not in a sudden, explosive burst of violence. It was in a profound and very deadly control. The stranger. The boyfriend turned, a look of pure, arrogant surprise flashing across his face when he saw Ethan, a full-grown and very real soldier in his full combat uniform, standing there. Yes. There was a long, tense, and very heavy moment of silence, a moment where the entire world seemed to hold its breath. And then the man muttered something ugly under his breath, let go of Lily's arm, and stormed out of the house, leaving his own half-empty beer can on the counter, a small, pathetic monument to his own casual cruelty. And he left Lily, his girlfriend, the woman he was supposed to love, shaking in the middle of the kitchen in the days that followed that tense and very revealing confrontation. Ethan tried everything he could to help her, cooked her favorite meals, he encouraged her to talk, to share her story, but he did not push. He reminded her in 100 small and very gentle ways of her own incredible and long-forgotten strength. But he also knew, with a wisdom that was far beyond his years, that a true and lasting healing was not something that could be rushed. Lily had been living in a quiet and very personal prison of fear for months, perhaps even longer. And he knew that the process of rebuilding her own trust in herself and in the world would take time. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, he began to see small but very beautiful changes. The deep, haunted sadness in her eyes began to be replaced, just for a moment at a time, by a flicker of her old, bright, and very beautiful light. Her laughter, which had been a ghost in their small, quiet house for so long, began to return. First in small, hesitant bursts, and then in long, beautiful, and very musical peals. And she even, one sunny, hopeful afternoon, began to work on her art again. And Ethan, he stayed close. A quiet, steady, and very powerful guardian, making sure that she knew every single moment of every single day. That she was not, and would, never, ever be alone again. One beautiful golden evening, as they sat together on the front porch, watching the sunset, Lily finally spoke. She told him everything. About the controlling and very abusive relationship. About the constant, grinding fear. About the profound and very deep isolation. She admitted, her own voice breaking as she did so. That she hadn't told him sooner because she hadn't wanted to burden him, to worry him, while he was so far away, serving his country. Her voice broke as she apologized, but Ethan stopped her, gently reminding her, with a fierce and very loving conviction, that none of this, not a single part of it, was her fault. That night, as she cried in his strong, safe arms, he promised her, with a soldier's solemn, very sacred vow, that she would never ever have to face anything like this ever again. He would make sure that she was safe, that she was loved, and that she was supported, always. Weeks later, with Ethan's help, Lily took brave steps toward rebuilding her life. She found a support group, reconnected with friends she had distanced herself from, even started teaching art classes at a local community center. Ethan watched proudly as his little sister transformed from someone living in fear to someone reclaiming her strength. He realized that his surprise return home, though born from joy, had been exactly what she needed at that moment. Life has a way of placing you exactly where you are meant to be. As the story of Ethan and Lily comes to a close, if this journey has touched your heart or reminded you of the power of love, family, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it so others can find hope, and subscribe to Kindness Corner for more stories that inspire and heal. Your support truly makes a difference. And before we end, we have a special request. Please comment below and tell us, have you ever been someone's unexpected source of strength? Or has someone shown up for you when you needed it most? We'd love to hear your story. Before we end, we have a special request for you. Please take a moment to share your own experience in the comments below. Has there ever been a time when someone showed up for you unexpectedly and gave you the strength you didn't even know you needed? Or maybe you were the one who stepped in for someone else at just the right moment. Your stories matter, and they can inspire others who might be silently struggling. We would love to read your experiences, so don't hesitate. Share your thoughts, your moments, and your heart in the comments below.